Hi, Eric Gibaud, Gibaud.com, and today, thanks to Photosura.com, I'm presenting you this lens, the Tamron 18-300mm 3.5 6.3. There are some very good news and some not so good news, so we're going to speak about it. So let's start. So why is it good news? Well, it is really good news because Tamron has license to make compatible lenses for Fujifilm. Okay, so that's really important. Up to now, not everyone was able to have this license. Sigma already started to use it, all this, but there were many lenses that had to be manual lenses or reverse engineering to be able to work with Fujifilm. But this one is completely legal, okay, authorized, okay. So it gives a great alternative for Fujifilm user to have lenses that are fully compatible. No risk to have a firmware problem, all this. It's completely agreed with Fujifilm. So this is a big piece of news, okay? Good news. And also, there is this one, I think I don't know if they issued it yet. It is a 24-70, I think, 2870, I'm not sure, okay? But this is good news that Tamron is getting into Fujifilm. I like it. So what is the bad news? Well, really, I could not say it's bad news. I'm really not surprised. It means up to now, I very often said that these kind of lenses that are all-terrain lenses, they are really like a bottle bottom, an improved one, okay? But the quality is not normally there. It's a big optical sacrifice, okay? So I was expecting for this to be a lot better because Tamron has been making lenses like this for many years, 18-200, 18-300, I think there's up to 400, I'm not sure, okay? So I was expecting they could make some kind of jump in quality. It is a bit better than what I've seen so far on other mount, obviously, but it's not that stunning, okay? So it's really in a big contrast with what I've read on some social networks that speak about this lens like really the eighth marvel of the world, okay? And yeah, we'll see in what situation it could be marvelous, if it gets to the level of marvelous, okay? But really, I think I was not surprised, disappointed that there was not a big improvement, but I was not really surprised. So we're going to see my test and my opinion and things like this, okay? So let's carry on. So let's make a visit. First, thank you, Tamron, for including a sunshade, okay? Here you have the zoom ring. If I go here, you see it's really long, okay? But I understand it's 18-300mm. This is a Fujifilm XC1, but a friend lent me an XS10, so I tested on it, also on it. I said that because the XS10 is stabilized. This one is not, but when I used the XS10, I didn't see any problem. It was in combination. I don't know how I didn't really pay attention how it worked, but it worked fine, okay? How they made it, if it was priority to the lens or together, I don't know. It worked fine, okay? And on this one that has not an IBIS in the camera, there is no problem. I think stabilization is fine. It's okay, okay? It's not wow, but it's okay. Here you have so the zoom ring. Here you have the manual focus ring in case you wanted to manually focus. Fujifilm fan will miss the aperture ring. It's not here. You will have to use the wheel on your camera, okay? Well, that's logical because this lens also exists for Sony, and I think they just changed the mount and the firmware in there, but physically this is the same thing, okay? Also, here you have a lock, so if you lock here, the zoom will not accidentally open, okay? So that can be good that it does not open in your bag. Well, that will not happen anyway, we'll see that after, okay? And then the diameter of the filter is 67mm. You have stabilization, and very important, it is weather sealed. So this is really good news because people who buy that kind of lenses, probably they want to go in places where it can be rainy, it can be really humid, but take care with one thing. This body is not weather sealed, so it would be okay if the body is weather sealed, like an XT4 for example, okay? So then that would be fine, okay? And when I put that on this, I think the balance is not in the right place, okay? Ideally on a tripod you will need to have a mount here, okay? But not everyone is going to use that small camera with this. Probably they will use a larger XT camera, okay? So let's carry on to give some more technical details and show you my samples and my opinion. The minimum focusing distance at wide angle is 15 centimeter, and at telelens 300mm it's 99 centimeters. So I think this is brilliant. You can actually do really close up even with the telelens, but when you're on wide angle you can really get close to your subject. So this is really a good point. And if we speak about the build, I think this is good quality. This is plastic, this is not metal, but still I think it's really good. It's more sober than what we've seen with Tamron so far, that normally has a golden ring, all this. This is really nice. Although it's plastic, I think the quality is nice, and the rubber is nice, feels good. Okay, really nice. Before speaking about optical results, okay, let's look at one thing, the zoom. Okay, this is not fluid at all. It really goes like, it's really hard to be precise. So if you don't want to frame your picture in post-production, you really want to frame precisely when making the picture, it's going to be impossible to precisely place the zoom position. You know, it's not like you want 35 exactly or 50 exactly. No, you're here and you really want to frame exactly where you want, and that's going to be impossible. Okay, so if you want to also do videos, that will be a nightmare. If you want to make close-up or get further using the zoom, it's going to be impossible to do it smoothly. So for me, this is a build problem. They should have made something a lot more smoother. And also, why do you put a lock if anyway it's not going to open by itself? As with your hand, it's hard to move it. Okay, so big downside, the zoom fluidity is really not good. So a few technical details. I'll show you some sample also, and show you my opinion about the optical side of it. Okay, the focal length equivalent full frame is 27 to 450 millimeter, which is fine for many things like street, and also animal, wildlife, if the animal is not too far. Okay, but that's fine. Okay, if we look at the weight, it weighs 620 grams. This is acceptable, this is fine for that kind of lens, but beware that if you use a small Fujifilm camera like the XE line or the XA line, that may be a problem if you're using a tripod, because it will be unbalanced and it's going to force on the bayonet, also on your tripod mount. So in this case, maybe it would have been good to have a ring to have the tripod mounted on the lens. Okay, but the weight is fine, and if you use it handheld, no problem, because normally you put a hand under your lens. Okay, no problem. If we speak about the optical formula, you have 19 elements, it's in 15 groups, and there is a fluorine coating. I don't know exactly what it does, it betters the aspect, but so far that's it. Okay, so let's speak about the optical side of this camera. Well, if you speak about vignetting, I think vignetting is acceptable. At maximum aperture and the widest angle you have a bit, but nothing dramatic. I think that's controlled. Okay, you can correct it easily in post-production. I've got no complaint about that. Now if we look at distortion, on 18mm, yes, there is a bit of distortion, but I think nothing dramatic either. It can be easily corrected in post-production, and even for many subjects you will not even bother to correct it. Okay, so this is also acceptable. Okay, now let's pick up what people always want to know is the bokeh. First, most people confuse bokeh with shallow depth of field, which is not the same thing. Bokeh is the out of focus part, and the depth of field is how far it goes. Okay, so I think people who use that kind of lens are not searching for a beautiful out of focus part of the picture, beautiful bokeh. So what they look for is very often everything in focus anyway, and you have 7 blades in the iris, okay, in the aperture, and it doesn't make a really nice creamy or really nice round shape out of focus point of light. Okay, but this is no problem to me. I think this is not the lens you would buy for that, so I think no problem, but don't expect it, but that's fine. You will not buy that lens for this anyway, I don't think so. Okay, or you shouldn't at least. Okay, now let's speak about the part that is most important for many people, which is sharpness. I'm not crazy for sharpness. I actually made a video about that, what Cartier-Bresson said about sharpness. It was a concept of Bourgeois, but still some people look for sharpness, so I have to say what I found. Well, sharpness is not here. Okay, I think this lens is exactly or similar to what we've seen in other mounts, okay, 18-200 or 18-300. And if we look at the picture, at maximum aperture, which is 3.5 on wide angle and 6.3 on maximum tele, at maximum aperture, the center is not that sharp and the borders are really not good, okay? To get the center a bit better, you probably have to close one aperture minimum, one stop, and if you look at the border, probably two, maybe three, okay? So it means that when you are on wide angle, you end up working at f8, and when you are on tele, you end up working at f10, f11. And when you get on f11, there is always a risk to get chromatic aberration. But there is a good piece of news, really good. This time is properly corrected. I think on f10, f11, the chromatic aberration is really controlled, really acceptable. So it means, yeah, if you want to gain sharpness, you will not have that problem. And anyway, it's really important to know how you're going to use your lens. If you're using the wide angle side to do a landscape, it's important to have the borders to be sharp, okay? If you're using the 300mm side of it, and you probably have a subject in the center, like if it was me here, you make a picture of me, probably this part behind will be maybe not really out of focus, but less sharp anyway, because it's in the out of focus part, okay? The depth of field will be more or less within my place, okay? So it means that if the borders are not really sharp, you will not notice it, because it's in the out of focus part, okay? So this is no problem. But if you are planning to use this lens against a wall that is at 50 meters on 300mm, and you want to have really good sharpness from border to border, it's going to be really hard to get it, okay? You will have to close the lens, the aperture, and even there, okay? So this is not really a sharp lens. Important, when I test gear, I normally never see what other people have said, and this happened the same thing. I tested, and then when the results do not convince me, then I check other people's reviews to see if we made the same thing, okay? In this case, some people said they found things similar to what I found, okay? And others say that it's a brilliant lens, okay? Well, so there is a bit of discrepancy, but I give my honest opinion, even if some people say it's a good lens. What I say is what I think, okay? This lens has probably the best results around 80 to 100mm. When you go over 150, you have a really big loss of contrast. So it means it looks less sharp. So actually it goes together, because a really sharp, contrasty lens gives a really sharp aspect, okay? And in this case, you lose on contrast, so you lose on sharpness, what you see. Actually, in post-production, very often when you put up the contrast, the micro contrast, you get an aspect of more sharpness, okay? So this is a big problem from 150mm on. And then if you use from wide angle up to tele lens, well, the best aperture to get the maximum result is around f8 to f11, okay? Before this, it's not pretty that sharp, and over that, then you will start to get more diffraction, okay? So, my conclusion, well, it's a bit hard, because it's hard to say a lens is no good, because I don't think this lens is no good. I think they have many good points, but I cannot say also it's a great lens, because it's important to see how and when and what you want to do with it, when you want to use it and how you want to use it, all this. So it's important not to get out of context. This kind of lens is what they call all-terrain or travel lenses. It is when you don't want to bring your full kit and you want to bring just one camera and one lens, and because you want you don't have much space, or you cannot carry too much weight, so you go with that kind of lens, okay? So yes, you know you will sacrifice some optical quality, but what you gain in weight and space, all this, it's worth it, okay? Some people think this lens is the one that allows you not to buy any more lenses and have just this, and this is a big mistake, okay? So let's go back to the traveling side. Or traveling, of course, you can use it around your house, okay? But when we speak about traveling, because of weight and size, maybe you're limited, okay? So advice, when you get that kind of lens to go traveling, get also a prime lens like 35mm, 23mm, 50mm, 2.0, 1.4, whatever you want. Okay, why? Because this lens in this case is not really luminous, and to give good results you need to use it from f11 to f8 to f11. So it means that it will be not really luminous. Outdoor it will be fine, daytime, but indoor it's going to be a problem. If you want to be on 18mm indoor and have sharpness, you're going to have to close the aperture. It means it will not be luminous enough. So for that, get a prime lens and use it indoor, and that's it. Okay, so this is really important. Then people who say, okay, instead of buying several lenses, I buy this from my everyday and I will always use that. I will have this lens screwed on my camera body, and that's it. This is a massive mistake, because it means you will never get the maximum image quality. Okay, don't make a confusion of image quality and photographic quality. Okay, the quality of your photo is what you do. Okay, the image quality is what your gear is doing, like the lens and the camera body. Okay, so it's important. Don't make confusion. The image can be fantastic, the picture, the photo can be fantastic without sharpness, without image top image quality. It can be a fantastic photo. And a picture can have a great image quality, but really a bad picture because the framing is no good or whatever. Okay, so we cannot confuse. Okay, so as you better your skills, maybe sometime you will want something a lot sharper, a lot better, and some people get discouraged because they see other people's pictures and they feel, oh, mine are not sharp. Is it me? No, it's not you, it's your lens. Okay, so if your idea is always stick this on your camera and never change it, don't buy it. You're throwing your money in the bin, the money of the lens and the money of your camera. Get a bridge camera. For that, if you want to have full-time that kind of lens, get a bridge like a good quality like the Sony RX10 Mark III or Mark IV. Altogether, it's still, the minimum Fujifilm camera cost plus this lens is more than this bridge camera. This bridge camera will give you from equivalent 24 to 600mm, and the image quality will be similar from what you get right now. Okay, so spend less money, use a bridge camera, and that's it. Okay, but otherwise, if you really want to use this lens and you know how the limitation, no problem. I'm not telling anyone not to buy this lens. If you know what you're buying, what it is for, you know the limitation, then no problem. You can go for it, okay? But if you buy it expecting to have the sharpness of 100 to 400mm by Fujifilm, you will not get it. There are no miracles, okay? Miracles do not exist so far, okay? But in photography, so far, okay? So, do I recommend this lens? Yes, for what it is for. No, if you expect really the maximum image quality, then I cannot recommend it, and I would think you should split in several lenses, like an 18 to 50 or 55mm, then one a bit further, and then a third one. Obviously it's more money, but you don't have to buy everything at once. You can buy over several months or years, and also look at the second-hand market and whatever. Okay, so yes, this is the problem. People buy this kind of lens thinking that will solve everything. No, it will solve everything weight and space wise, but not image quality wise. Okay, so conclusion, yeah, well, that's it. So thank you very much Photosolar for lending me the lens. Thank you very much to you for watching the video. If you feel it may interest other people, please share it on social networks. If you have not done it yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Small button down here, a small bell. If you click on the bell, get notified when I upload a new video. My website, ericgibaud.com. If you have any question, can leave a comment below. Also leave you links of my gear on Amazon, links of everything reviewed by K&F Concept, Sandmark, and Flashes by Westcott, and also link to my PayPal account in case you wanted to make a donation. Please take care of yourself and see you soon. Bye.